We broke bread. We ate some nyama choma, had a lot of uji and tea, and danced. And I also told you that I was writing a book, and you thought it was a joke. Here it is now. It's taken some time, and it's quite a lot of work turning rough thoughts into readable book that so far as the promise of being a good seller. There are many themes in the book, but there are five ones that I would like to speak about. In the first chapter, I talk about my upbringing. It's just a reminder that in my life, those early formative years shaped who I became. Very soon I'll be 70 years. There are people who help you turn out the way you are, and those people are unforgettable. I speak about my high school head teacher. I speak also about my primary school teacher, one Mr. Lincoln Jeru, who taught us the power of handwriting and how to write well, how to write legibly. That has stuck with me. And although it's many years now, I may not claim to write as legibly as I used to do those years. I also write about people who taught me values and how not to take shortcuts. Yes, I gambled in high school. I fought with teachers to run plays. I was not a model student in that sense. And I think that is why I learned my lessons at Kangaroo School. Next, I tell the story of the university years. I never at university imagined I would turn out to be The weaknesses in the criminal justice system are well documented. But we can expedite the delivery of justice and make this country indeed and truly a country of the rule of law. It is doable. We probably need to look at our work ethics as people serving Kenyans. Kenyans need speedy justice. Can you imagine somebody fighting a case for 20 plus years or even 30 years? And this is not a story. There's a case I dealt with that stuck in the courts for years after I left. I'm not even so sure that it has ever been resolved to date. I also write about leadership culture in Kenya. The lowest point in my career was the frame-ups when I was in the judiciary. I write all about it. And I learned that in leadership and in politics, the backstabbing never stops. The backstabbing never stops. In the judiciary, in politics, dealing with KANU, Jubilee, and even now, Kenya Kwanza. It was constant backstabbing. Indeed, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has just alluded to some of those instances. Fitina mingi. A lot of snakes, hypocrites. Yes, you know them. I hope more colleagues can tell their stories. Labda tukianza na Rigiji. Stories would be amazing about what I talk about: hypocrisy, backstabbing, hypocrites all over, conmen, fitina mingi. I also write about the legislature, the legislative politics, and the Parliament of Kenya. The Honorable Amin Abdallah alluded to this. As the first speaker under the 2010 Constitution, setting up all those structures, you learn a lot about change management. I write about what my friends in the media called the supremacy wars, the Senate versus the National Assembly. Some people think that the fights were personal. No. The issues we were fighting about, like the division of revenue laws are still there. I say in the book, unless the Constitution is amended to better define the roles of the two houses with regard to the budget-making process, the fights will continue regardless of the many advisory opinions that may come from the Supreme Court. I write about the Constituency Development Fund, now called the National Government Constituency Development Fund. I say it in the book that this fund needs to go. A quote, who are worse than murderers and pretenders. There's also something about hypocrites. And I must warn you about manufacturing crises. Every time you see our president manufacturing a crisis, just know he wants to eat. Just this week, we heard him talking about power rationing, when the bulk of electricity is geothermal, or rebuilding the airport. You must have noticed that he's even costing the airport to the tune of 200 billion. Never mind, he was speaking in a foreign land, never accompanied by any engineer, any architect, any QS to give him these figures. He merely jumped at the figure of 200 billion. He would assign a value to a project just from thin air. I talk about this through the Kedong Ranch. The Honorable Rigathi Gachagua has just alluded to it. And the multi-billion tender, which I refuse to sign when they try and cornering me at the airport in Dubai. You do not, on one hand, collect hundreds of billions of shillings and then make the government borrow its own money. And then you go to international fora and complain. Indeed, it reminds me of the remarks by many years ago by the late Fidel Castro, who was saying that history will absorb me. There are also moments when he manifestly flouted the law, and I told him as much. The English say, you cannot lie down with dogs and not come up with fleas. I just want to say that might be true because I have my scars. And lastly, I have to alert you to the rule of law, the human rights abuses, the extrajudicial killings, abductions, and all that. You do not import mercenaries to conduct human rights abuses in your country or subcontract reprisals to foreign countries or gaslight your own people for calling you out. You do not run an abduction squad in your own country. These are things we need to deal with. Finally, I explore my drama, my dreams. What future do we want? What future do you want for your children? Do you want to see them despondent, being killed in the streets, being abducted in broad daylight, being gaslit for fighting for their rights? When I worked with this government, I thought we were issue-based. But now, tribalism and corruption is on the up. I believe in the rule of law and a government that has respect and treats Kenyans with dignity. If I keep talking, I'll be reading the book for you. I don't want to spoil it for you. Read it. Make up your own mind about the book, the content, and about me. And then decide what you can do about it. I hope you come to the conclusion which my good friend Honorable Wamalwa has said, one term. That we need to chart a new path and a new direction in this country. You read it, enjoy it, and I hope you buy some copies for your other friends and also for libraries in your locations. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to me. And I conclude by saying that I am extremely happy that our good friends from the Frederick Newman Foundation, Judy Kaberia, is also with us. I know at the foundation they do a lot of governance issues, just like several other foundations do. Thank you, Judy, for standing with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for having to read this because I wanted to make sure that I make every point that I intended to make. With those many remarks, it's now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome on stage our chief guest, sorry, I'm also told that my very good friend, other very good friends as well, have arrived. The Honorable James Gakuya, the member for Embakasi North. Karibu sana, my brother. And my young son, the Honorable Gitonga Mokonji, the member of parliament for Manyata in Embu. Huyu ni kijana yangu. Thank you very much, Mokonji, for gracing this occasion. Asante sana. And I hope I have not forgotten to recognize, is that Judy? And also somebody I work with at the People's Restorative Justice Commission, Professor Friend Ogola. He just arrived from the US where he took his presidential campaigns. Karibu sana, Professor. Thank you. I know you just arrived this afternoon. Also, let me recognize the presence of Judy Sijeni, Ambassador. Wakili Eunice Lumalas. And I hope I've been able to recognize each and every other. But anyhow, my good friend Olekenta is here. Wacha tusikize our chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo wa Musyoka.